This is Katie Groves, and this video is a continuation of my last video about my siblings. I left off in the part where I was going to talk about Kevin and Victor. I'll start by talking about Victor. I remember very little of him. So far, I've not recovered much. Parts of me say that he was a sociopath who's a few years older than us. We have a flashback to what he looks like. Other parts have more, but we're not able to share much more than that. To our knowledge, he is still alive, and then we don't have any reason to believe that he's dead. But we haven't had contact in I don't know how long. He was, from what I understand, more in a perpetrative role. And parts of me were not deeply bonded to him that I can see. Kevin, on the other hand, is difficult for me to talk about. He was one of the purest, most empathetic souls I have ever met. He was 4 years older than me, from what I know. He was 21 when he was killed. Parts of us still hold out hope that maybe his death was staged, that our memories are inaccurate due to drugs, manipulation, mind control, programming, etc. We, however, believe that he is dead. We remember the event clearly. When we were 17, we were forced to kill him. His execution was merciful. They often execute bloodliners. They often executed bloodliners where I grew up, I mean to say. Execution style with guns, which was much preferable to what they did to most people. And because Kevin was a bloodliner, as were Elizabeth and Jacob, my memories of their deaths all involve somewhat merciful killings with guns. We struggled deeply to come to terms with Kevin's death. Some parts of us still won't accept it. We've made tremendous breakthroughs in the last couple of days, actually, forgiving ourselves for what happened, recognizing that it was not our fault. We don't want to go into more details, really, than we have right now. But when critically evaluating what we know of the circumstances around his death, we did not do anything wrong. We come to that conclusion. But our heart is in deep grief. And like I said, this is very difficult to talk about. One of the things that has helped us tremendously in letting go of Kevin was finding visual confirmation of his existence through an external source. We don't want to go into details about that for safety reasons. But we have, in recovery, seen with our own eyes, images of Kevin. He looks like the spitting image of our father. And we can see resemblance to our mother also. We do not know for sure if he was our mother's biological child, but we have reason to think he was our father's. Yeah, it's brought us deep healing to see that. And due to the facial expressions his micro expressions, his body language, and the images, we can see that he was a good soul, that he had empathy, and that he was somewhat awake. And that helps us to accept his death as not being entirely our fault, because we were told that, just like we were told with Elizabeth and Jacob, Kevin was killed because we tried to break free. We made major progress at 17, and it was shortly after Kevin's death that we did successfully deeply break through on a final level. So it helps us to remember that Kevin was semi-conscious, and that we can believe when parts say that Kevin was already disobeying, disrupting his programming, and was likely to be killed, was going to be killed. So I don't know what else to say other than that. Unless anything else I can think of feels too personal. Not that this all doesn't feel tremendously personal as it is. I will say that I expect to recover more memories to integrate with more parts who have knowledge of siblings other than the ones I've mentioned. Parts have come forward about my father being used to impregnate a lot of women who were trafficked by the group. So I probably have half siblings out there that I don't know about, and may have had relationships with other siblings as well. Okay, that's all I have to say for now. Like I think I said in the previous video, I share this because I know my story is not unique, and I hope that it brings healing to others who've been through similar things. I know how hard it can be to trust one's memories of this sort of thing, but logic is my friend, and when I logically think about what I know of the cult I grew up in and their practices, it would be absurd to think that I didn't have any siblings. Thanks.